I just had an experience happen, which is an opportunity, I think, to celebrate and note some of the progress coming from these videos. But I also wanted to use it as an opportunity to kind of do a quick post-mortem, and when the feelings and the process is fresh, the memory is fresh. So, quick situation, quick context was I was finishing up a work call, and I heard my son start yelling in the background. Come to find out, the bathroom was flooding, more or less. So one of our bathrooms started overflowing and flooding, and there was kind of water everywhere. So that's always a little hectic, obviously. And I was trying to get in there and fix it and see what needed to be done. As I was doing that, I guess how the system is connected or whatever it might be, the other bathroom started flooding. So now I'm kind of running back and forth trying to figure that out. As I said, I was kind of in the midst of working. My wife and son are there. My wife has to use the bathroom, which is why they realized it was flooding. She went to go in there, and my mind starts doing what it does, which is catastrophizing things. I started thinking like the whole house is going to flood, or clearly there's something deeply wrong with the sewage or plumbing system here, and it's going to be a whole huge fiasco. And it's almost the holidays, and it's late in the day, and I'm not going to get somebody here, and we're not going to have bathrooms. We're going to have to go stay at a hotel, but COVID's going on, right? Literally, I can remember all this running through my mind. This is over the course of a few minutes. My son obviously is a little nervous and everything, so now I start getting short with people, and I'm yelling a little bit. And I'm thinking about just everything, right? The holidays are almost here. How much money is this going to cost? I was looking forward to today's my last day of work. I'm going to be off, having a nice, relaxing, 2 weeks off. But now that might be getting screwed up. Literally, it's all going through while at the same time trying to fix the issue in front of me. And I've mentioned this before in videos that perhaps the greatest gift that's come from all the work I've been trying to do through these videos and writing and reflection is, if nothing else, it gives me that little bit of doubt, that little bit to say, hey, this, like in this instance, this may all feel justified right now. This might all feel real, that this is all going to collapse on you, and the worst case scenario is going to happen, and you're completely justified to just absolutely lose it. But there's just a seed of doubt always that says like maybe not. Maybe it won't be that bad. Maybe it'll work out. Maybe it's not the worst case scenario. Maybe you don't have the right to start screaming at your son or your wife now because you're frustrated. Maybe that's not okay, right? All those little maybes start popping in, and that's what happened here, right? Just enough to get me to flinch, to flex, to stop, to think. And typically what I found, and this was fortunately a great example of it, once I stop the momentum of the train, it becomes that much easier to kind of pull it back into the station, if you will. It's just stopping it, right? And then it starts to build on itself. I just need a little piece to get in, right? And then I could kind of get back to it from there, get back to where I should be. And fortunately, that's what started happening in this situation, right? I felt myself starting to calm down. At least I was still angry. I was still frustrated. If my son knocked something over at that moment, I probably would have lost it still. But it was coming back. And then the rational thought starts to go in of, well, okay, I'll call a plumber and we'll get it straightened out. And it seemed as if the flooding started to stop a little bit, but you start to walk yourself off the ledge logically and start playing out why it may not be worst case scenario, and why worst case scenario might not be as bad as you thought it was, and the things you can do to fix it and kind of mitigate the issues here. That all starts happening, and that helps a ton. And once I kind of logically start to bring myself back and I start to figure out what needs to be done, right now I'm thinking in terms of the steps I need to take, it can kind of switch to that other piece, which is, there's only one way through it now from a mental toughness perspective. Now I just got to do the things I have to do. And it still feels frustrating. It feels like I got to clean the bathroom. I got to spray this. It's dinner time almost, so I have to get that ready. And again, I could envision a prior version of me that as that starts to pile on again, you start to feel it, you lose it, right? But again, there was enough there for me to recognize that there's no use in that. Like, this stuff has to get done. It's all going to have to happen. The only thing I could do now is start doing it. Take the first step, clean the bathroom, wipe this down, get the towels, get to the dinner for him. It just has to happen that way. And there's no good arguing it. There's no sense fighting it. It's just the path that has to be followed, and was able to, again, bring that back a little bit. The last thing I did, which honestly I'm not sure if it was the right thing or wrong thing in the moment because I was still in the midst of it, was I tried to make it a learning experience for my son. So as it was kind of tailoring a little bit and I started to bring myself back, I went to him and I was kind of candid with him and transparent to say, hey, we talk about this with you all the time when things don't go right or you don't get what you want. It's so easy. It feels so good to just lose it and flip out. And I was like, that's pretty much what I just did. That was a bad thing that I didn't want, and I lost it, and I started to flip out. But what I always try and tell you is what I'm trying to do here, right? It's not that bad. It's a choice. You can bring yourself back. You can get through it, and you'll recognize that as you make it through it, like I am right now. Like, we can figure this out. It's not going to be worst case scenario. So he started to ask me about that. What do you mean by worst case scenario? What were you mad about? Were you mad because the other toilet, started flooding? And I told him, I said, listen, I got mad because I wasn't sure how bad it was. And I thought it might be a huge issue and the whole house would flood and we'd have all sorts of problems. And he got that. And it's funny because I could see it in his head that he was kind of empathizing with me and recognizing those emotions, and they were kind of playing through him almost just he could imagine what that would have felt like in the moment. And we kind of talked about, hey, it's tough, it's hard. I want to be angry, I wanted to yell, but it didn't help, it didn't make any sense, and it's not the right thing to do, and kind of bring it back. So just an instance, as I said, to perhaps take a bad situation that could have been much worse and likely would have been much worse a few years ago, and just see some of the benefits from the things I try and talk about in these videos, and how they play out, and how they help me think a little bit clearly, and hopefully how they help me be a better dad and have my son get some of the benefits from this being the goal.